Hey folks, last video for tonight. I just want to show you how to do the Carlyle Windsor memo. I'll do this really quickly and keep this short. We're on the week 1 guide. If you go down to the bottom of the page and click on the Carlyle Windsor case study, that will open a file in Google Documents, which is a scenario. It is essentially a case study. I know that you can read this on your own, but it basically tells you the problem and it gives you a list of 17 facts. So essentially it is a house that was painted, the paint started to peel, the 17 facts are possible reasons for the peeling, and your assignment is to write a memo for the boss of the company to explain your findings and make recommendations. And you need to do this in Google Docs. And so what I would like for you to do is to write a memo, and in doing so use a communication purpose statement to begin the memo. Now that you've done the fact A-B statements and you've done the communication purpose statements, here's an example of what a student did a couple of years ago, actually about 3 years ago, to create the same memo for the same case study. I want you to pay attention to the format of the document. I want you to also pay attention to the document design, because this is something that we'll return to later in the course. But notice the student actually used correct memo format at the top by putting to, from, subject, and date. And that is just the way memos are written. Before email, memos were the way that people in organizations communicated. They actually wrote these down on paper and sent them through interoffice mail to other people. After email became widespread, memos kind of dropped away, but if you think about the way an email interface looks, you still have to, from, subject, and the date stamp is already on there. So an email is essentially just an electronic memo. But companies still use memos when things need to be documented and something needs to be on paper. And so we want to teach you in TCO 341 how to write a memo, and to do so we've given you a scenario. So I just want to point out a few elements, and then I'll leave you alone to actually do this assignment. Make sure you follow this format. I believe this sample is linked to the website. If it isn't, I will make sure that it is. This just gives you an idea of how to put it together. You can use document design like this student did with the line at the top, the title memo. This particular student put a banner image down the side with the name of the company. If you notice, he used orange, and that was for Mercer. He also used color in his headings. Headings are something that are very good to use in any document that has more than 2 or 3 paragraphs of text. Headings enable the reader to quickly skim and get an idea of the main points of the document. So you'll notice, since we've already discussed this in a previous video, that this first paragraph is the communication purpose statement. You can look at this and you can probably pick out the fact A-B statement, the role statement, and the purpose of the document. Your memo needs to follow this format almost exactly, beginning with a communication purpose statement at the very beginning. This particular student put a header called discussion. You could use discussion, you could use another header to explain this. This could be something like findings or explanation. Anything like that will be fine. This student took those 17 facts and condensed them into 4 paragraphs. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, with using some transitions between the paragraphs to explain the interpretation of those facts and explain the problem to the boss. And then, if you'll notice at the very end of the memo, the student has a header that says recommendation, which I highly advise. And the student makes a very clear recommendation that the Carlyle Windsor house be repainted. And so the student says, I recommend that the Carlyle Windsor house be repainted. And then gives just slightly more rationale for that. So, just to sum up, this is, number one, a very attractive document because it's great document design. It's great use of color and graphics and integrating that throughout the document. It has an excellent purpose statement at the beginning that clearly lays out the problem, who the person is, and the purpose of the document. The explanation inside the discussion is clear and easy to understand, and the recommendation at the bottom is straightforward and fairly explicit in what the writer is wanting the boss to do. So this would be a very good example of how to do the Carlyle Windsor memo. This is a very good example of how to do a memo in general, and it's a very good example of a purpose statement. So this kind of ties together everything that we've already been talking about. I hope this helps you as you put together the memo, and I'll post another video a little bit later explaining the work that we'll do after next Monday.